Shut up and sit down.
Hello, Phantoms fans. Welcome to the Dump and Chase podcast. I'm Sam Olmstead.
And I'm Justin Irwin.
Let's do it.
On Saturday night, Miley Cyrus's Party in the USA starts blasting through the PA system of the Covelli Center. The crowd sings along, but play started back up before it got to the chorus, and the crowd actually booed. At the next whistle, the song picked up where it left off, and not only did the crowd cheer, they sang along even louder than before. This is the kind of crazy you are missing out on if you don't come to Dollar Beer Night. Thank you for tuning into our 20th, that's right, our 20th episode of the Dump and Chase podcast. My name is Sam Olmstead, and I'm nodding my head like yeah, and with me as always is Justin Irwin, who is moving his hips like yeah. Now, Miley Cyrus references aside, how much fun have these Saturday night games been the past month or so?
They've been a lot more fun than the Friday night games.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is kind of interesting to see what happens when, you actually put some promotion in. I've actually seen commercials, on TV commercials, cable TV commercials for Dollar Beer Night, and it looks like it's working.
So in this episode, we'll recap last weekend with Tri-City. We will look towards the 3-game weekend with Green Bay. We'll take a deep dive into some goal stats, and for our Phantoms player profile, we will feature defenseman Jason Dobé. So we will kick off the show with some team news. First and foremost, Aiden Gallagher was named team captain for the season. Now, this follows the pattern of the Brad Patterson-led teams of the past 4 years, where a team captain isn't named until roughly the midpoint of the season. Now, Justin and myself have had a running joke for a few seasons. Back in the Troy Loney years, we kind of had an inkling that there may have been money issues with the team. This led to our first theory that to save money, it was actually Troy Loney in the boomer costume, because let's face it, you never saw the two of them together at the same time. The second was that a captain wasn't being named because the team couldn't afford the letter C patch. So when the team traded for Caleb Price, I feared the announcement would have been delayed because they would need the C for Price. But in all seriousness, was Aiden the right choice for team captain?
I have no qualms with it. He's definitely stepped up as a player. I'm not 100% privy to what goes on in the locker room, but if we're going by on-the-ice play, he is as good as any, I would say. It's kind of really a hard one to make that call, but I'm happy with the decision.
And then also, Trevor Kuntar was a last-minute addition to Team USHL for the BioSteel All-American game. Now, this was an honor that was completely deserved and was completely ridiculous that he was overlooked to begin with, being the United States Hockey League's leading goal scorer and all. But that is the joy that is the Phantoms being the redheaded stepchild of the USHL. And this game turned out to be pretty much what we all thought it would be. The NTDP under-18s being portrayed as an all-star team that in reality has been together for well over a year and a half, going up against a team that came together Sunday to have one practice and play a game on Monday. But it was mission accomplished in the end. Team USA won 6-1, egos were stroked, and the NTDP got a 2.5-hour infomercial broadcasted live on the NHL Network. So, congratulations to Trevor. Now, come back to Youngstown where your talents are infinitely more appreciated. How appreciated? We will get to that a little bit later on. And now I'm going to hop down off my soapbox before I get a nosebleed from the altitude.
All right, yeah, well, I was going to say, I'm trying to think if there's anything that you didn't cover here on this. Yeah, a team that's played together for 18 months gets to play a team that's played together for an afternoon. Yeah, I've never been a really big fan of all-star games, period, so I guess it doesn't bother me that much. People point out the scouting, but in the long run, I don't think this game makes that big a difference in scouting. I think this league is well scouted enough that, if the scouts needed to see, you play this game to notice something about you, then you needed to play, harder in other games. As I say, yeah, I don't think Trevor Kuntar has been overlooked by the scouts.
Well, overlooked by the people picking this team to begin with, but...
They don't count.
Well, it helps if they've actually seen the Phantoms play this season. From what I'm told, they haven't, so... Anyways. So, looking back to last weekend, we had the Tri-City Storm come to town for 2 games. The game on Friday, for lack of a better term, was a complete dud. The team had no energy, no puck support, no sustained offense, and no Trevor Kuntar due to a 1-game suspension for abusive officials from the end of the Team USA game the previous Saturday. The Phantoms lost 4-1, and for the first time that I can remember, Coach Patterson looked pissed in his post-game comments, which only lasted about 90 seconds. We had hoped for a momentum bump after the comeback win the weekend before, but that was not the case at all, was it?
Yeah, that interview was more John Tortorella than we've seen out of him, I think, ever. So, yeah, obviously no one was happy with that performance. I'm pretty sure most of the guys in the locker room were not happy with that performance. And then we move on to Saturday.
All right, so, yeah, let's talk about Saturday. Now, the Phantoms came out in that game like somebody lit their rear ends on fire, and quite frankly, they played a great first period. They went down 1-0 halfway through the period, but, they just kept on pressing. Now, the Storm ended up with a power play goal with about 20 seconds left in the period. That kind of took the wind out of the crowd. Maybe not so much the team. So Tri-City took a 2-0 lead after the first, and it was just kind of that feeling of, great, here we go again.
I mean, obviously Tri-City is a defensive-oriented team, it seems. If they go up 2-0 on you, and that's kind of hard. So, obviously we needed to make adjustments after the first. And it looked to me like we managed to put something together in the locker room and come out with a new mission.
Yeah, so the second period started, and pretty much that was the point where the Phantoms took over. 3 minutes in, a returning Yusaku Ando intercepts a pass at the blue line, takes off up ice on a 2-0 breakaway with defenseman Caleb Price. Now, after a game of hot potato between the two and a very patient backhander from Ando, the Phantoms finally were able to get on the board. With less than 6 minutes left, Matt Cassidy tied the game at 2 with only the team's second shorthanded goal of the season. A minute 40 later, Georgi Merkulov put the Phantoms ahead 3-2 with his 5th goal of the season. The Phantoms played the second period pretty much the same way they played the first, and it seemed like it really started to wear on Tri-City, and pucks were starting to go in the net.
Yeah, we reloaded, we came back out fresh. Maybe the road trip was starting to finally catch up with them. But yeah, you stick to your guns, and good things happen.
So going into the third, you got to see some really good back and forth between the teams. Defensively, Youngstown was able to hold for the most part until about 6.5 minutes left in the game. Tri-City tied it up on the power play. 2 minutes later, Josh DeLuca put the Phantoms in the lead for good. And then Aiden Gallagher took a shot at an empty net with 30 seconds left from the far end of the ice. And quite frankly, he was closer to the parking lot than he was to the opposing goal. Was able to tuck that into the right goalpost for a 5-3 lead, and another Phantoms come from behind win on a Saturday. Now, yeah, the past few weeks, that really seems to have been a theme for the team.
Yeah. For one, I don't know if you could have been any farther away from the opposing goal. He just flipped that out of there, perfect, dead on. Usually that drives me nuts because they miss the net and ice the puck, but that was perfect. So yeah, getting back to it, I think it's starting to take its toll on my health, but it sure is exciting to watch. And I thought it was poetic justice that DeLuca got the go-ahead goal there. He had been playing, just an exceptionally energetic game the past 2 games. He's been out there flying, and really nice to see him get rewarded.
I'm pretty sure where Gallagher shot that puck, he probably could have smelt Zamboni exhaust from there. So the scary news from this weekend was the injury to Riley Funk on Friday, who was involved in a massive open ice collision. He tried to get up several times, but kept collapsing to the ice. He also had a pretty good cut above his eye and was noticeably bleeding. He was helped off the ice and did not return. Talking to a couple people on Saturday, Remarkably, he was feeling better as the night went on, and reportedly felt no ill effects the next day, but understandably was held out of the game on Saturday. So hopefully we'll see him back on the ice healthy and sooner than later. Colin Purcell sustained a lower body injury also on Friday towards the end of the second period. He was bowled over in the crease during a scrum for the puck, which ended up leading to a goal. It took him a moment to get to his feet, and he finished the period, but it was very evident he was having some discomfort and was pulled going into the third period. You talked to a couple people about Purcell. What did you hear as far as his timeline?
Yeah, well, with goalies, it's always a little funny with the info, but I was told he was fine. They were able to get an emergency goaltender, so he was able to take the night fully off. Just precautionary. He should be fine. I mean, it didn't look like a bad injury from what we saw, immediately after. Definitely noticeable, especially there was a goal scored a few moments after that as well. He obviously did not react well on that goal. Lower body. I'd take everything I was told with a grain of salt, but yeah, probably not a bad injury. Hopefully good to go this weekend. Bassey, he came through in relief in Saturday's game.
Kind of bringing up this point again, but the way it's been the past couple weeks, I think it's worth it. The past couple weekends have really seen a boost in attendance and crowd energy due to Dollar Beer Night. I don't think it's so much the dollar hot dogs. I know if I eat $3 or $4 hot dogs, I get a little lethargic, so I don't think that's it. But yeah, the Dollar Beer Night promotions on Saturday, mainly being taken advantage of by YSU students who have shown up in hordes to partake in this. But yeah, I mean, the crowd's energy has just been off the charts the last couple Saturday nights, and to sit in the stands and be surrounded by it, it's really made it fun the last couple weeks.
Yeah, they get fired up. The team starts coming back. It seems to kind of be a snowball effect. I really hope nothing gets tore up around town afterwards. Some of them seem to be pretty wound up going out. I hope nobody's underwear gets left up on the street lamp, things like that. Oh, wait, that was me? No, never mind.
Yeah. For the last couple weeks now, I've had this idea bouncing around in my head as far as trying to remember the last time the Phantoms got out of the first period with a lead. So I sat down and went through the box scores for all 34 games so far this season, and it turns out there's a reason I've had a hard time remembering. In 34 games so far, the Phantoms have had the lead after the first period 7 times, 4 of those at home and 3 on the road. In 14 games, they were losing after 1, and in 13 games, they were tied. Now, to stretch this out, after the second period, they led in 13 games. They were losing after 2 periods in 15 games and tied in 6 of them. Now, those numbers don't sound horrible in and of themselves, but we'll dig a little deeper than that. The Phantoms' record this season when leading after 1 period is 4-0-2-1. Their record when leading after 2 is 11-0-1-1. Now, when trailing after 1, their record is 4-9-1, and when trailing after 2, their record is 2-12-1. That's when that starts really becoming a telling stat.
And I was also, just kind of looking over the stats while you were going over that, and I just found one where after 2 periods of play, if we're tied, we are 1-3-2-0. So, going into the third period, you're tied, and you've only managed to win, 1 game. That's pretty harsh.
Now, nothing in these numbers is us saying, okay, this is what needs to change. I mean, you would like to see some of these numbers get better. This is just more or less what has happened so far. Now, since I was running all of these numbers, I looked at overall goals by period, and it pretty much told us what we already knew. The team has been outscored 44-29 in the first period. That would be a -15. The second period, they've been outscored 43-41, which is only a -2. And in the third, they've been outscored 49-32, which would be a -17. So the story from these numbers is a weak first period, a stronger second, and an even weaker third. But with the third period, you can attribute a lot of that to games with Chicago and Team USA.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of this can be also due to, being outshot by pretty wide margins too. So it's kind of one of those things. Offense is down overall. When it does click, it's kind of a juggernaut. But other nights, it falls apart, and we've seen, a couple of really big blowouts. So
I mean, at one point I wanted to go through and like track the shots and that kind of stuff, but that's one of those horses we've beat to death this year, and you can't always trust the USHL to be very accurate with their shot statistics anyway, so
yeah, well,
I just went ahead and skipped over that.
yeah, I mean, and truth be told, all of these stats are skewed, so
yeah,
we're basically just using them to fill time.
So now we really get to have some fun. This last weekend, because at one point during the game on Saturday, you had asked me about like the team's record and whatnot when Trevor Kuntar is not in the lineup. And so I went through and looked at those numbers, and holy cow.
It was worse than I thought. Yeah, this is a stat I think that does actually matter here.
Yeah, 28 games has been played by Trevor Kuntar this season. In those 28 games, the team is 14-10, 3-1, or a 571 win percentage. The 6 games he hasn't been in the lineup, the team is 0-5-1, or a .08 win percentage. And to really drive this home, in the 28 games Kuntar has been in the lineup, the Phantoms have averaged 3.46 goals per game. In the 6 games he was not in the lineup, the team averaged 1.5 goals per game. Now, that was pretty much the one that floored you when I told you when I came up with those numbers.
I knew it was bad, and thinking back, there's games where, there's other players missing, etc., but, that's just a stat. I knew it was going to be something, unbelievable, but that's unbelievable.
That is what the term I've now coined, the Kuntar effect. We've talked about in the past how, as goes Trevor Kuntar, as goes the team. But the 6 games he's missed this year, 4 with the World Junior A Challenge and 2 for suspension. 1 suspension a little ridiculous, but that's the USHL. But so at least right now, as far as it looks, barring any more suspensions, we should have Trevor for the rest of the season. So definitely, maybe we'll start seeing those win-loss numbers start to improve as the season goes on.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I realize some players make other players on the ice better, but I guess I'm still speechless over that 1.5 goals per game, 3.46 with them, 2 goals a game.
Okay, so moving on, we are now in the 3rd week of our Phantoms Player Profiles segment. The first 2 weeks we've gone with forwards. This week we are going to go with a defenseman. So for this week's Phantoms Player Profile, we are going to take a look at second-year defenseman Jason Dobay, or Doughboy, depending on which PA announcer is on the microphone that night. Jason is a 99 birth year from Weymouth, Massachusetts. Now, funny enough, his birthday is July 27th, which is one day before mine. Granted, 16 years after my actual day of birth, but I thought that was kind of neat. He was originally a Phase 1 8th round draft pick by Cedar Rapids in 2015, but never played in a USHL game. Now, between 2016 and 2018, he split his time between Thayer Academy and high school prep and the Cape Cod Whalers U18 of the Massachusetts High School League. In 2016-2017, he combined for 17 goals and 50 assists in 56 games. In 2017-2018, he combined for 11 goals and 40 assists in 38 games. So he was the Phantoms Phase 2 second-round pick in 2018. Last season, he put up 2 goals and 16 assists in 56 games, and so far this season, he has put up 4 goals and 13 assists in 33 games. And interestingly enough, this season, he didn't pick up his first penalty of the season until the 25th game, which was the last road trip in Madison. His point production has slipped since joining the USHL. but he's one of those players whose major contributions to the team are ones that don't always show up in the box score.
I mean, he does a lot of the little things. A very good passer, gets the puck out of his own end, maybe not getting the offensive responsibilities that he got in prep and high school. But yeah, definitely an asset on the blue line, kind of a more of a defensive guy now. Good skater, a good gap.
I would say pretty good hockey IQ too. He's someone you very rarely see out of position, which I mean, at any level, that's, a big deal, but he's just one of those guys that you never really, see him, just kind of burned on a bad play because he was out of position. Just hockey, and like you said with the passing, probably one of the better passers on the team if I would have to go through and make any type of ranking. But yeah, I would definitely say a very high hockey IQ as well.
Yeah.
So with him being an overager, this will be his final season with the Phantoms, and he is committed to the University of Massachusetts, where he will join Phantoms alumni Ty Farmer and Gianfranco Casaro, and at some point in the next couple years will be joined by current Phantoms goalie Colin Purcell, so not too bad a company there. But yeah, it's been a fun couple of years with Doban Youngstown. It's going to be sad to see him go. He's one of those kids. He's just really nice kid, really easy to root for. So he's going to be one of those ones. It's going to be a bummer to see him go. But as with a lot of these guys, that's just the way it is. But it looks like he's going to be moving into a pretty good position with the University of Massachusetts.
Yeah, he's one of those guys that you kind of hope what he does out there rubs off on some of the younger defensemen.
Oh, yeah. So, looking ahead to this weekend, the Phantoms will welcome Green Bay to Youngstown for a 3-game series. The games on Friday and Saturday both have a 7:05 start time, and the game on Sunday will have a 5:05 start time. Saturday, as always, is $1 beer and $1 hot dogs, so load up there. And Saturday is also Pucks and Paws, or Paws and Pucks. I can't remember what order they went in. Essentially, bring your dog to the game. You get to watch wiener dog racing if you're into that kind of stuff. And for the love of God, when your dog makes a mess in the concourse, clean it up.
$1 beer, $1 hot dog. I'm pretty sure the dogs are going to be hoping some of those $1 hot dogs go slipping out.
Now, see, I'm still lobbying for cat night. If they're going to do dog night, why not do cat night? I mean, the whole night would just be people chasing their cats all over the arena. Play the Benny Hill theme in your head, and it could be a night you would never forget. But
I don't know. Nothing to me would go better with hockey than ferrets.
Maybe someday they'll allow me to bring my emotional support peacock with me, but I digress. So, as far as the actual games this weekend, what do we have to look forward to with the Gamblers?
They're a team that we really kind of have to keep our eye on. They're a half point or a half game in front of us in the standings, 2 games in hand. So we're in the last playoff spot, just past half point of the season. Kind of a big weekend, 6 points on the line. I think the thing to note with them is their captain, leading scorer, McCade Webster, just went on season-ending IR, so big gap up front for them. We'll see how they fill that. Still have some decent talent up front, but we'll see how they respond.
Now, for anybody that needs a refresher as far as the USHL playoff system goes, the top 6 teams from each conference at the end of the season move on to the playoffs. The first and second seed get a first-round bye. Seeds through 3 through 6 will play best of 3 series in the first round. The third-ranked and fourth-ranked teams will host the fifth and sixth-ranked teams for potentially 3 games, all at the higher seeds arena. So there's no play a game here, play a game here. It's all in the same arena. So if you're not going to get the first round bye, you want that third or fourth seed. You want those games at home. As it sits right now, Phantoms being in 6th in the Eastern Conference, they would be on the road for that first round. So that's the least enviable position we'd want to be in. At the very least, we'd want to be 3rd or 4th. At this point, barring a major collapse by Chicago and Team USA, the first or second seed doesn't look like it's going to be attainable.
No, it's pretty far off. Even the third seat is pretty far out there. I think we're like 5 games back at this point. Right now, if the playoffs were to start, we would be playing that wild card series in Dubuque, and I don't think we want to try to test our luck 3 games against the Dubuque Fighting Saints on the road.
Well, we thought we did last year, but that didn't work out for us.
No, and things haven't changed that much in Dubuque. So we play them later on in the season. So don't want to get into it, but yeah, they've got some kids that are pretty darn good.
And there's the horn, and we are out of time. Thank you again for tuning in and spending some time with us. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and hit that like button. We often wonder if anyone listens all the way to the end, so if you are listening to this right now, go to the comments and just tell us who your favorite all-time Phantom is. You can also shout us out on social media. Our links are in the description. The show is brought to you by hockeyfan.com. All of our episodes and Justin's blogs can be found there, and they can also be found at our syndication partner's website, ohiohockeydigest.com, under the Phantom section. We will talk to you next week, and as always, go Phantoms.
And don't forget, have your pet spayed or neutered.